What's up, guys? Welcome back to the ELI5 podcast slash YouTube channel slash whatever this is. My name's Kyle. Today we're going to be talking about LSTs. Just sort of, I guess, going a little bit more into the key risks, the key benefits, and the differences between LSTs and sort of what they are, because I think there's still just sort of a lot of misunderstandings or just things that people don't realize. So first and foremost, what's an LST? It's effectively just an IOU for SOL that is in a stake account. So you basically are just getting a token that represents staked SOL. So it accrues value because a stake account, let's just give a quick example. If you deposit one SOL into a stake account and receive one LST to represent that stake account, you will always have that one LST, assuming nothing else changes. Now, if you wait 1 year, you will still have that one LST. However, it will be redeemable for that stake account, which has now grown to 1.07 SOL. Why has it grown to that? Because if you stake your SOL, you earn that base issuance of SOL for validating the network, which is roughly 7%. So we're just taking those assumptions. So one LST remains one LST 1 year from now, but its value is now 1.07 SOL, which is what it's redeemable at all times. Now, one of the risks is depeg risk. So if I wanted to just sell that LST in a liquidity pool, if there was a ton of people all dumping at the same time, it might be worth less than 1.07 SOL. However, if you choose not to just dump it into a liquidity pool where it's potentially depegged, or buy in a liquidity pool where it's overpriced because of an influx of demand short term, you can always go and redeem it for that stake account and get 1.07 SOL. So if there is an actual depeg, you can literally buy effectively free SOL because you're getting that LST at a discount if there is an imbalance of selling, and then go redeem it and actually get more SOL back because you can always redeem from that stake account, even if it depegs in a liquidity pool. So that's a key differentiator. Now, LSTs, they've been around for a while. I'm sure most of you actually have heard of them before. JITO-SOL, MSOL, BSOL, these are all LSTs. These are effectively the exact same thing as what you're seeing with Sanctum. The key difference, one is that I don't know if all of them, but I know MSOL uses a slightly different program, still audited, but for the most part, all LSTs are using a program that is open source and part of the Solana program library. If you go to spl.solana.com/stake-pool, there is a stake pool introduction under the stake pool dropdown, and it literally gives you the stake pool program, a link to the GitHub repo, and it has all of the security audits for this program that all of these LSTs, or the majority of these LSTs, are using. These include QuantStamp, Neodyme, Kudelski, Neodyme second audit, OtterSec, Neodyme third audit, Halborn, Neodyme fourth audit, Halborn second audit. And I'm sure these second and third audits are because there's been minor changes over the years or whatever. So they just kind of do an updated audit, make sure everything's good. But this is kind of the key risk, if you want to call it that, with LSTs. It's this program or smart contract risk, whatever you want to call it. But there have been all of these audits. So this is kind of the biggest risk. The next risk is kind of the difference between JITO-SOL, MSOL, BSOL, and what's kind of popping up more recently with Sanctum, which is more validator-specific LSTs. So what JITO, Marinade, and Blaze do is effectively when you're staking your SOL, instead of staking with one validator, they're diversifying the staked SOL across many validators. So what is this doing? Well, this is helping to avoid some of the risks of staking with a validator-specific LST. So with Sanctum more specifically, you see things like Juicy SOL, Bonk SOL, H SOL. These are effectively staking your SOL with one specific validator, and you're getting that LST in return. So the whole point is that LST is accruing value from staked SOL, earning base emissions or yield from being staked on Solana. If that validator goes down or the commission on that validator changes, that LST may be accruing no yield, less yield, or more yield, right? So this is a potential risk with a validator-specific LST versus something like BSOL, MSOL, and JITO-SOL that diversifies it. So you definitely want to make sure that you trust the validator. The person is, responsive. They're making sure that their validator is up. You can set alerts for when commission changes, but just be aware of these things if you are doing validator-specific staking. One other thing to note is that even if a validator goes down, you can always unstake your SOL or effectively get rid of that LST and redeem it for that SOL in the stake account. So just because a validator like stops operating as offline, rugs, whatever you want to call it, you can always get that SOL back. That SOL is not gone. They have no control over your SOL. You're just delegating that SOL as a stake account. So the LST, or if you natively stake, you can always unstake it, even if a validator is down, does a commission rug, blah, 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 blah. So kind of a little bit of peace of mind there. The last thing I want to touch on is, or I guess there's two more things. One is the benefits of LSTs. You can use that in order to borrow against it as collateral, whether you want to trade, perps on Drift, or you just want to borrow like SOL or USDC against the LST in a borrow and lending platform. Those are kind of like the key benefits of the LST token. Plus, it's kind of like a nice UI to be able to see in your wallet. The last thing is pricing. You can't really compare two LSTs price-wise and say that one is cheaper or more expensive than the other. You really want to be looking at like the validator-specific stats or what emissions they give out. Those are kind of some benefits of doing validator-specific staking. They could give you bonus emissions. They could give you native tokens, whatever it is. If you want to stake with us, Hedgehog Spiky Validator. Hopefully we'll have an LST soon. We're trying to get set up, but it hasn't been set up yet. But you can still directly stake with us. You can also directly stake with us through something like Solblaze. If you compare one LST price-wise to another one, it's not apples to apples. And the reason is, let's just say we had an LST and we launched right now, and you could stake one SOL and you get one LST in return. 1 year from now, assuming a 7% yield on that SOL, the stake account would have 1.07 SOL, and therefore your one LST token would be redeemable for that 1.07 SOL. However, if some newcomer came along 1 year from now and wanted to stake with our validator, they would have to stake 1.07 SOL to get one LST token, right? So that's how the LST token accrues value, and that's how the exchange rate between SOL and the LST changes. So if a new validator came along, or we launched a second validator, right, and a new LST token, well, we might start again 1-to-1, right? Because no yield has accrued to the staked SOL, so it might start at a 1-to-1 ratio. But as time goes on, that will go up. So part of it is dependent on when that LST was launched. Another thing is you can kind of set the exchange rate when you create the liquidity pools or the staking, however you want to do that. So don't look at an LST price and say, oh, this one's cheaper than this one. That's not really true. They should, in theory, all be just accruing the base APY plus whatever a yield that validator kind of gives to its users based on the commissions that are set. There's obviously extra rewards that you can get, but those are just dependent on the validator actually sending those to you. So some validators do like block reward kickbacks because block rewards go to the validator, not to stakers with the validator. So the validator can opt to send you block rewards. They could opt to send you additional tokens for their protocol, whatever they want. So these are just kind of little nuances and different ways to think about and look at how you're staking your SOL. Hope this was helpful. If it was, please give this video a like, share it with others, and feel free to stake with the Hedgehog Spiky Validator. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.